morning, everybody. Great morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. It is Saturday.
And it's a lovely day. Lovely day.
Welcome to Breakfast with the Brooks. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe and be sure to ring the bell. Also, guys, make sure you share this out. We'll be getting started in about 4 minutes. So go ahead and share this out. Get your coffee, get your tea, get yourself situated. Today is going to be hot, so you might want some ice.
Some hydration.
Some ice coffee. Today's topic is going to be hot.
Hot.
A
little physical.
Get heated up in here.
Oh, shucks. Watch out.
We'll be with you guys in about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So make sure you share this out. Once again, if you are new to our channel, please be sure to subscribe and ring the bell so that you
You can ring my
live
bell.
videos to the channel. Be with you guys this morning. With you, just off you.
Great morning, everybody. Listen, do me a huge favor. Do me a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. If this is your first time, I want you to go ahead right now and drop hashtag first timer in the chat. Put that in the chat. Hashtag first timer. We are getting ready to get started with Breakfast with the Brooks. Today is going to be the wrapping up of a 4-part series that we're talking about intimacy, growing closer together. We're trying to figure it out. Hopefully you guys are having a fantastic Saturday morning. It's getting ready to get hot. It's going down in about 2 minutes and 38 seconds. Hot in here. Hot, 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 hot.
Don't know if that's how it goes, but okay.
Right.
Okay, we'll be getting started in just a few minutes. Once again, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. And also make sure you ring the bell.
Ring my bell.
Share this out. Share this out to your family and friends. This will be a hot conversation today. Hot topic of the day.
Talking about intimacy.
Talking about the one that involves touching today.
Oh yeah, we finally get to that part, the touching part.
Talking about physical intimacy.
Singles might be mad with us this morning, but you're not in a relationship.
Well, ain't this physical intimacy?
Yeah, you're right. We're gonna get
This
into
is
that.
for everybody.
Yeah, this-
This is for everybody. Also, guys, if you're joining us, make sure you post what the weather is in your neck of the woods. You know where you're joining us from, what city and state you're joining us from, as well as the temperature. We'll be going live with you guys in about 1.5 minutes.
All right, guys, what goes down in about 1 minute. If you haven't already, do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's Breakfast with the Brookses. It goes down in about 50 seconds. Super excited to be wrapping up a new topic, talking about intimacy. I hope that you guys are ready. I got my water. It's getting ready to get hot up in here.
All right, guys, we'll be getting started in just a few seconds. If you are new to the channel, once again, please make sure you subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications. And make sure you share this out. Also, for those of you that are joining us, post in the feed, in the chat, what city and state you're joining us from and what the weather is in your neck of the woods. We'll be going live in just a few seconds. Well, good morning. morning.
What's up, everybody? We got the wrong angle on here. Let's switch that really quickly.
Switch the camera.
Boom.
There we are.
Yeah,
hey guys.
we got a couple of angles. We got a couple of angles that we could play with. But for today, this is the one we're going with.
We got a special guest here. If you guys didn't see, Mr. Jackson is joining us this morning. He wants to have some physical intimacy this morning.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to get started in just a second. So make sure you get you some tea, get some coffee, get you some water, get settled down. And in about 30 seconds, we'll actually be getting into today's topic. Make sure you share this out to your friends and family, and we'll see you in about 30 seconds. Guys.
What's up, everybody?
Good morning.
Great
it's great to be with you guys today.
Great morning. So today we're wrapping up a brand new subject, or it's not brand new. It's been 4 sessions that we've been talking about intimacy. There are 4 types of intimacy that you need to be familiar with if you're going to grow your relationship. But before we get started, my name's Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach. Sitting here next to the lovely light-skinned
Sheri Brooks Jr., author, speaker, and relationship coach as well. It's great to be with you guys this morning. And over the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about the 4 types of intimacy. And it's amazing that when most people think of intimacy, the first thing they go to is physical.
Yep.
Everybody thinks intimacy is just physical. And so that's why we saved that part for last, actually.
Save the best for last. Real quick, guys, on the front end, we do want to encourage you that if you've never met us, maybe this is your first time. 1, I want you to put hashtag first timer in the chat. Number 2, introduce yourself. Hi, my name is, and that way we can engage.
Your government name.
Your government name, because some of y'all here on YouTube, y'all be coming up with the craziest handles. I'm not sure who you are. So we would definitely want to shout out, get our chat engaged. Certainly, if you have any questions, just drop it in the chat. We'll get to it, and we'll talk about it in the chat. We'll try and kind of keep that dialogue going there. Sheri and I created an online relationship academy. It's called MAPS. Marriages and Parenting Successfully. I can't believe that we're coming up on 4 years in a row this coming January that MAPS first launched. It's an online community where we get the opportunity, quite frankly, to grow with people who want to grow their relationship with great intentionality, whether you're a couple, you're a parent, singles,
right.
Men, women. We have 5 different group coaching platforms. If you want to become a part of that, do me a favor. Go right here. I'm sorry. GlennPBrooksJr.com. Sign up for a free discovery session, and we would love to have you come rock with us.
Right. And MAPS is an extension of what we've been doing for the past 20 years, 20 plus years. We have been adding value to people in relationships over the course of our marriage. And so with the changing times, with technology, we decided to create an online platform so that we could reach more people outside of our physical area. We have clients as far as the East Coast. We've had clients in Canada. So it opens up our reach to individuals no matter where you are. And the amazing thing is that no matter where you are, and basically no matter what age you are, the issues that people deal with in relationships are pretty standard.
Yep.
There are a set group of issues that most people encounter in relationships that we're able to add value to people. I've been married twice before. Glenn has been married once before, so we know how to do it wrong.
Yep.
We both have failed in the past, but over the course of our marriage, we will have been married 22 years in a row. This January, and we've been able to successfully blend a family as well as have a pretty successful marriage this time around, and we've been able to overcome many of the challenges, and having learned from our mistakes, and also having worked with other couples for years and with parents and with youth over the years, we've picked up quite a cadre of
to say the least. We got a full toolbox.
That we're able to add to other people to be able to benefit them, so they don't have to go through the challenges that a lot of people go through.
Guys, let me just say this so that y'all are super clear. And when Sheri talked about us being married prior to one another, she was married twice before me. I was married for 12 years. And one of the things we did not have in those relationships was a community of people that were assembled to help us win.
Right.
And I honestly think, Sheri, that if it wasn't for our tribe then, and now, quite frankly, we would not have lasted this long.
Right. Did you, as Glenn said, as far as community, we didn't have that in the past. I know in my first 2 marriages, I was solo. It was just me and him both of them trying to figure it out. I didn't have a community of people that had done it or were doing it right, that we were able to, lean on and glean from and get information.
Yep.
And we also subscribe to that, that old adage, what goes on in this house stays in this house. And that was to our detriment, to be honest.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So that's one of the reasons why we created MAPS, because it gives us an opportunity to kind of help people grow in community. Why you keep pointing to this?
Did you check the mic?
I did. Yes, we're good.
Okay.
Yes,
just want to make sure everybody can hear us. If you guys can hear us, just let us know. Make sure.
We should be good to go, and just super excited. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and okay, I didn't switch over to that particular mic. So maybe we came across a little bit crazy sounding to you guys. We might sound much better now. Thank you for reminding me.
Problem.
I didn't know what the finger thing was. You got to. I don't do hints well, babe. You got to tell me.
I was trying to be discreet.
I know you're trying to be discreet.
It's okay.
I'm sorry. It's okay.
It's okay.
I'm a lion. I don't do discreet well. And many of you guys who don't understand that language, you need to come and take a DISC assessment. I'm a certified DISC trainer, and we help people grow their personality, temperaments, understand them, and be able to grow in relationship as a result of that. Right. When you hear the word intimacy, what comes to mind? When you hear the word intimacy, what comes to mind? I want you to put it in the chat. We'll engage you guys there in the chat. But Sheri, when you hear the word intimacy, what's the first thing that generally pops to your mind?
Closeness.
Okay.
I think of a closeness. It's a level of closeness.
Okay. One of the things that I want you guys to understand is that by definition, intimacy literally means it's a state of closeness, familiarity. And generally it's with something or someone that you feel affectionate towards. It's personal. And so oftentimes people are struggling to become close.
Right.
And the reason why is because they've not really figured out how to nurture that. And so today we're going to wrap up a series where we talked about the 4 types of intimacy, and a couple of weeks back we talked about the number 1 type of intimacy is emotional intimacy.
Right,
and when we talk about emotional intimacy, babe, what we're talking about is the idea of affirming each other, caring for each other, and genuinely being interested in each other's feelings.
Right. It's being able to open yourself up and being open to caring for another person. A lot of times we just because of things that we've gone through in our life, we're emotionally closed.
Yep.
And we don't want to let somebody in that close. That's a little too close. I can be cool with you.
Yeah.
But to let you into my emotions is really intimate for me.
No doubt, no doubt. The second one is mental intimacy, and this is where you guys begin to have meaningful conversation. Now, y'all may have to just for a quick second.
Yeah, Jackson
is a little busy. He's doing the most. We're trying to plow through this so that we can get this content to you guys. So if we get a little distracted, y'all will understand our dog is just tripping. Mental intimacy is this, baby. The idea of shared values and interests. It's the idea of drilling down on what we call meaningful conversation. I don't know if you've ever been in a relationship with someone where the conversations that you guys have are more surface than anything.
Right. I think it's really, when you're in a relationship, a telltale sign of your closeness is the fact that you can have really deep conversations, that you can talk about anything. It doesn't mean that you have to agree on everything, but that everything is open for discussion.
Correct.
That you're willing to share your innermost fears, your thoughts, and not feel like you're going to be criticized by this person, even though you guys may disagree, but they're willing to hear your point of view, you're able to hear their point of view, and just realize, and also the thing that's key with that is that it's when you share your point of view with somebody that they get to know who you are inside. Because if I never share with you, say, my view on abortion or whatever, you don't know, because that speaks to my character. That speaks to something inside of me, something that I have.
It speaks more to your values.
To my values than my character. It opens up a part of me that you normally would not see. When you look at somebody on the exterior, you don't get to know all their deep thoughts and how they feel about certain things. But when you're able to have those type of conversations, which a lot of people consider conversations, topics that you just don't touch.
Right.
Topics that you don't want to talk about, like politics and things like that. You want to those type of conversations with
Right.
a person that you're in a close relationship
Absolutely.
with, because that matters. Getting to know what their view is.
So when you say that, baby, one of the things I need everybody to understand is that if you're going to get to the place that you can have meaningful conversations, you have to have conversations that are stimulating, conversations that are satisfying, and quite frankly, conversations that end up being challenging.
Right.
Because I want to know where you are. I want to be able to be challenged by some of your thought process. And when we get close mentally, those kinds of exchanges happen. I can tell you there are times where we're coaching people, you guys, and it may be a married couple, and one has a particular view on, let's say, racism. And the truth of the matter is, if there is a march to be had, or if there is some kind of protest, one feels one way about it and the other feels the other way. Well, if you guys can't come together on how you feel about things that you want to participate in, the challenge is that it makes it difficult for you to grow your mental intimacy. So I would always encourage you to kind of talk through those things and share and really begin to grow with one another as you move along. I want to go to number 3 so that we can get to number 4. We're just doing a quick recap for those of you guys who may be just hopping on. Today we're wrapping up a 4-part series on intimacy. We say that there are 4 types of intimacy. Number 1 is emotional, number 2 is mental, and number 3 is spiritual. We talked about that last week.
Right, and spiritual intimacy has a lot to do with your values. It's being able to understand and respect the other person's values. And when you understand what they value, there's a sense of peace that you're able to give that other person, a sense of peace that they have knowing that you understand them and that you're willing to respect what I value.
Yes.
Because if you trample on my values, there's no peace in my life.
Oh.
And so by my knowing what I value and I'm able to share that with you, then you won't trample on them, and therefore I'll have peace. It doesn't mean necessarily that all of our values have to be the same.
Yes.
But you do have to respect and understand what my values are so that you don't trample upon them, because that's what gives me peace in my life.
No, I love it. Mental intimacy is the idea of sharing values and interests. Spiritual intimacy really deals with the purpose of why you do what you do and your purpose in life. And when you can begin sharing those, what it does is it opens up the door for you to grow spiritually closer. A lot of times when people hear that word spiritual, they're thinking religious. They're thinking church. They're thinking God. I want to say that it can include that, no question about it.
That's part of it.
That's a part of that process. But it really is about understanding what drives each other. What are your core passions, and what's your purpose, and those kinds of things, and how, quite frankly, I often talk about your belief system.
Right.
I find that when coaching people, I can have 2 people of the same faith. Let's say they're both Christians or they're both believers, and the truth of the matter is they could both have 2 completely different belief systems in terms of how they approach the things. And so oftentimes you find that if you don't nurture those, you will not grow closer when it comes to being intimate. The last thing, this is what we're going to talk about today.
I'm sweating already. It's getting hot in here.
Look.
Get ready to get hot in here, y'all.
You need a towel.
It's getting ready to get hot.
You need a towel. Uh-oh. Here she go.
Oh, Lord.
Listen. Oh, Lord.
Oh, Lord.
Listen, guys, we're going to talk about physical intimacy. And quite frankly, guys, this is the part that most people gravitate when they hear the word intimate, when they hear the word closeness. Sheri, I remember a discovery session that I did with one of our existing clients. Obviously, I'm not going to share who that is, but this was a while back when they first became interested in the MAPS Relationship Academy. And we talked. One of the things that this person was telling me is that they have a difficulty with getting close to people physically. And we explored that a little bit, because sometimes that is due to trauma.
Right.
Sometimes that's due to some sort of event that's taken place in your life that's really, really affected you in a great way. But in this particular person's case, I think that it really boiled down to them not knowing what that actually looked like.
Right.
So in other words, if I have a definition of what physical intimacy is, and Sheri has another definition, we could both grow in a relationship where we're very unsatisfied because we're not clear.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a couple of things, and I want you to put this in the chat, that really sort of sums up and characterizes, if you will, what physical intimacy should look like. Hugging, definitely. Put that in the chat. Hugging is one way that physical intimacy looks like. Anybody ever meet a hugger? If you're a hugger, put me in the chat. If you're a hugger, put me in the chat. That's an act of physical intimacy. You ever hug a person that don't like to be hugged?
Right, they all like
they're like
that church hug is like hitting you with the shoulder.
Let me tell you something right now. Miss me with the church hug. And I'm just saying because it feels fake to me. I'd rather shake your hand.
Right.
I'd rather just say hello than to get an inauthentic or a disingenuous hug because you're all guarded in a lot of ways. And I understand why, because quite frankly, hugs involves bodies touching, right? But for me, it was never about it wasn't ever sexual, right? As children, we were huggers. I mean, my sister and I both, we would go up and hug strangers. It's like, hey, give me a, they had to invent stranger danger for us because we was like everybody. Like, you ever see that guy on, it was on Facebook or Twitter years ago, and he would say, he had a t-shirt that said, giving out free hugs. Free hugs, free. That would have been me, right? Because that is a way that I express physical intimacy. Another one I want you to put in the chat is definitely kissing. I want you to see the progression, right? So kissing. Now, there are people who will give you a peck, and that's a sign of affection for them.
In the French culture, they kiss when they greet. When you greet somebody, and whenever you greet a person, you give them a kiss. This is not a mouth open French kiss. It's kind of one of these. It's kind of mwah. No, it's a kiss.
It's a kiss.
But it's a sign of endearment. It's I'm saying I'm welcoming you.
Absolutely.
I'm letting you in.
Absolutely.
It's not sexual at
Absolutely. All. So I want you guys to understand that kissing can be sexual, but it can be very non-sexual in that regard. If I were to say, hey, come here for a second. I just want to let you know. I love you. I appreciate you so much.
I love you too.
There's nothing sexual about that.
Right.
Does that make sense, guys?
Right. When you kiss your children, that's not
sexual.
And so kissing does not have to be sexual.
Have to be. Now, we're not going to give you the sexual version of that because that's not part of this show.
Not appropriate.
We ain't trying to get nothing started
that's
over here and abruptly end the show. So I just want to give you guys an understanding of what that could mean. Massages. Physically, just you ever have people that when they walk up to you, they just rub on your back? My sister is like that.
That's a sign of intimacy.
That's a sign of intimacy. What she's saying is that I love you, and then for her, she can feel tension. She can say, "Oh man, you just need to loosen up a little bit. You good? How's everything going?" And it becomes a physical massage. It's not necessarily signing up to go get a massage,
right?
But it is just sometimes it's rubbing on your knee,
right?
Sometimes it's just rubbing. I listen. When I was a kid, I would come up to my mother and I would just sit there. We'd be watching TV, and I'd sit there and just rub on her arm. It was crazy because it was just something about the touch. Now, a lot of people in our culture, don't get me wrong, I understand you have to have boundaries where this is concerned.
Right.
Please don't misunderstand this. I get it. But in relationships with people that you care about, people that you love, it is tragic when you cannot grow intimately in a physical way that first doesn't involve having sex.
Right. And I think that it starts with these are ways that even if you're not, sexually active in your relationship, that you can be physically intimate.
Yeah.
Great example, Mr. Jackson here. He was running around acting crazy. He just wanted to be close to me.
Yeah.
He just wanted to be in my lap for me to sit here rubbing on him.
That's it.
And he is so at peace right now. He's good.
Now, we could have fought that by keeping him down, putting him on the pillow. We gave him his toys.
And this is all he wanted.
And he wasn't content with any of that. All he wanted was to be
physical intimacy.
Was to be loved on in a physical kind of a way, and he's content. He's about to go to sleep. So I love it. Let's keep going before he wakes up. So because he's 8 months, and so those cat naps last about in moments.
Yes.
So, babe, the other thing I want to kind of touch on is now it gets to things like sexual touch.
Right.
Obviously, when you're in relationships, particularly in marriage. I know that can be tough. Sometimes we even coach newlyweds who are challenged with the whole idea of what should sexual touch look like, what it feels like, what do you like, what don't you like. There are some people that don't like to be touched in certain places, but it communicates something for you.
Right.
I think that's where we need to really lean into understanding what pushes people's buttons, what does it for them, and then honoring that.
Right. And I think when you think about physical intimacy, for me, the best way to look at it is my enjoying being in physical proximity with that person. So like right now, Glenn and I are sitting next to each other, and I do this even when we're in the bed. I just have to touch him in the bed.
Yeah.
I just have to have a
you
part
can't
of my
see
body.
it, but our knees are touching.
We're touching. I just have to be touching you. And that's a sign of intimacy. Now, I don't do this with strangers. I'm not sitting next to somebody on the bus and I'm going to touch their leg. I'm really going to be offended if they touch my legs because I'm like, hey, you're crossing a boundary.
Can I touch your leg?
Right.
Can I touch your? Can I rub my knee up against your knee?
Right. But it starts with little things like that. It's just being like children that love to be that hug, that love to sit in your lap.
Yeah.
Now, yes, with children, you do have to teach them boundaries when it comes to you can't sit in everybody's lap.
Yeah.
You can't sit in every guest that comes to the house. You don't need to be sitting in that lap.
Yes.
But there's the reason why they do that is because they're craving
That is
intimacy.
funny. That is
funny.
funny.
Something, because some children, you notice, they don't like that. They don't want to be touchy-feely.
Yes.
But that means that that's not something that they crave. They don't crave physical intimacy. But if you have a child and you notice they always want to hug, they always want to be up under you, they're craving physical intimacy.
Absolutely.
And the worst thing you can do is constantly shove them off,
That's
because then
good.
they're going to seek it from somebody else.
And
it may not be safe.
And they're going to also associate physical intimacy
It's
with
something bad.
something bad or
Right.
being wrong,
Right.
or I'm not allowed to do that. Obviously, there are boundaries. If you've never taken the 5 love languages test, we're going to drop it in the chat. I want you to go take that. Some of you guys' actual love language is physical touch.
Right.
You feel loved when you're touched. And when I say touch, obviously, we're not even talking sexual. It's very platonic. Sometimes it's holding hands.
Right.
So even if I go back to some of the folks that we've coached before, I've run into a thing where one person doesn't like to be touched.
Right.
The other person does. But the other person that does like to be touched, what they often don't know is that is their love language.
Right.
That's why they love it so much. For the other person, their love language may be quality time.
Right.
So what we endeavor to do is to help people become bilingual. And so now it's not all about what I want. It's not all about what I need.
It's also being able to give my partner.
But it's also about
what they
preferring
need.
the other person
Right.
that I'm in relationship with. Sometimes that can be your child.
Right.
Your child may prefer to hug, but you don't. But if that's their love language, my question is, are you going to hold that back, and are you going to not explore what it might look like to love them that way, even with boundaries? So you might not do the 20-minute hug.
Right.
It might be, let me just hug, boom, and then we keep it moving. But then they will be satisfied because they understand, you know what, at least they are showing me some love. One thing, and we're going to get out of here for today, guys, I want you guys to understand that physical intimacy is essentially about relaxing into it and joining in the flow of it. Let me tell you a secret. As human beings, we were designed to be interconnected. As human beings, we were designed to be able to respond to and give physical intimacy. When you find yourself in a situation where that repulses you, that causes you to flare up, I'm going to submit that in many cases, there's something deeper going on.
Right.
That's not something that you should be feeling in that regard, because it's not the way you were built.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you, having coached hundreds, and I would dare say thousands of people now, whenever I find that issue in a relationship, it is most often due to some kind of trauma. And this is where we get to invite them to go explore getting some real serious therapy or some counseling. And we have a ton of people that we refer people to, because that's not what we do.
Right.
But the truth is, babe, they have something they need to work through.
Right. And I think that, physical intimacy, like I said, I think a lot of times when people do have negative associations with physical intimacy. It may be from, like Glenn said, from trauma. And it also comes from what we believe physical intimacy. If you believe
absolutely.
that physical intimacy is just sexual, then whenever your partner touches you, you're thinking they're trying to go there.
Absolutely.
Because your mind, you associate that with that. But when you open your mind up and realize that physical intimacy is just simply being close.
Yes.
Just sitting next to each other.
Yep.
That's physical intimacy.
Proximity.
And just being in the proximity physically and being able to share in that moment. Like I said, it's something soothing about somebody rubbing your back, somebody touching you. You know, there's something soothing about that. And if you cannot cringe and think that it's going somewhere else,
that's funny.
then it helps you to be able to open up in that area.
Yes.
And then when it does come to sexual, it'll help you both feel more comfortable in that, because you've built a pattern, a history of just being physically intimate without it being sexual before it gets to that point.
So guys, I had another thought. I'm not going to share it because we really have to go. It will take a whole nother talk. But Sheri is right. I want you to work on your proximity. Mm-hmm. I want you to work on being comfortable with being in people's spaces without it leading anywhere. Yes. And I want you to practice that this week. Mm-hmm. If you struggle with physical intimacy, I want you to practice moving closer physically in the proximity of other people and sitting in that space and not judging what's going to happen, mm-hmm. but really observing in the moment what is happening.
Right.
And when you begin to practice that kind of awareness, what it does is it will often help you to identify why you don't want to go further, or quite honestly, why you have never sought to enjoy these kinds of really, really close moments.
Right.
We got to really get out of here, baby.
Right. And just one last thing. So, as Glenn was saying, practice just being in the moment of the physical touch.
Yes.
and it not going somewhere.
Absolutely.
Just enjoy it not going somewhere.
Absolutely.
And enjoy each other's company. Enjoy their presence. Enjoy the aura of your spouse. The presence of your children. Just sit and give them a hug.
Yep.
Just love on them.
Yeah, we got to go. We got a couple of other sessions going on today. I just want to say, it was an incredible run to do this. Make sure y'all tune in next week. We're going to be getting into a brand new subject matter. I don't even know what it is, but I promise you it's going to be fire. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please do so. At the end of the day, here's what I know to be true. You can't get to any place of significance by yourself. Why? Because we all need some help. Y'all be good. Saturday. We'll talk soon.